Testing, testing. All right, so at 7:30, we're going to go ahead and get started. And tonight we are talking about disappointment and self-abandonment. So with these, the moment that changes everything, okay? Disappointment is an event. Self-sabotage, self-abandonment is the response. So you're disappointed and now you pull back and you abandon yourself and you abandon what you believe in. That is the response. So I've been learning how to, I've been studying um, the process of um, learning how I'm not going to go into the story, but I'm going to go into my response. My response says everything to me. How I respond to a situation, how I navigate through the situation, it says everything. Okay. So let's look at that. And it's helping you understand where these items come from. Okay. So this one sentence alone can stop um, shame like a mid spiral. Okay. Disappointment is unavoidable. It's unavoidable for us to be disappointed in certain areas in our life. But the self abandonment, that is learned behavior. Okay. So, what disappointment actually is, um, this is a core truth that we have to really understand. Disappointment happens when reality doesn't match expectation. Okay. So we have points in our lives where we are disappointed because um, the reality that we're in is not matching the expectation that we have, not just for ourselves, but for certain situations and outcomes that we have within our life. Okay. So it comes from people, it comes from our choices, it comes from timing, it comes from outcomes, and it comes from seasons of our life. Okay. Disappointment says, this didn't go the way I hoped. And that by itself does not damage self trust. What damages your self trust is what happens next. Okay. So when we had these expectations, and I remember I was doing a lot of the expectations of wanting to, I was doing I think it was like $1,000 a day or something like that, that thing. And I don't want to say that thing, but that testament of what I was trying to do. And it was really hard because when what I expected, it didn't happen. And it doesn't happen because nine times out of 10, for me, there's something else, the timing that happens with my family. It could be my kids that need something. It could be the season of the time that I'm in. Usually it's really always about my children and the timing. Okay. It's never about the choices that I make. It's really usually about the people and the timing. Okay, so the timing that I'm in and I'm making decisions and I choose the time rather than really like roll with um, how I can be better at managing, um, how can I say, managing that part of what I want to do. Okay. So like I said, it usually comes with those key aspects. Okay. What damages self-trust is the thing that happens next. Okay. So the next thing. Okay. So say for instance, you didn't make the $1,000 or, I think it was like, I think it was doing $1,000 a week or something like that. And I didn't make that $1,000. Now you could either quit or you can continue to go forward and try to find another way to make this happen. That's what happened. What damages your self trust is what happens next because you can either abandon yourself or you can move forward. Okay. The second layer of this is what does self abandonment looks like? Self-abandonment is the moment you turn away from yourself to cope. Okay. So when you go through a breakup, or when you do something that's drastic in your life, it sounds like I shouldn't feel this way. It's not that big of a deal. Oh, just get over it. Or I don't have time to feel this. Okay. And it shows up in so many ways where you minimize your feelings, you start to rationalize instead of process. You stay busy to avoid the grief. You know, just busying your mind rather than sitting. One thing that I've learned about some people is when a traumatic experience happens, or when something like this happens, it causes people to regress. Okay. And so then they go back and they don't actually honor their feelings. They don't honor the space that they're in. And so they rationalize instead of really process how they're feeling, what they're feeling, why they're feeling the way they're feeling. So they stay busy. And so you start doing other things to avoid the grief or avoid the situation or avoid being with yourself to honor this is what's happened. Okay. Over functioning to regain control, silencing your needs to keep peace. When things like this start happening, people, situations, circumstances, when you silence yourself, you silence your peace. Okay. Silencing what you need in the moment to keep the peace in whatever the situation is. It could be work related, it could be anything. Okay. Self abandonment, it's not a dramatic thing, it's just you're quiet. Okay. Rather than you speak up and say your truth, you just go into your bubble and you go into your hole and you say, I'm not going to deal with it. Okay. Why we self-abandon? This builds um, this place of like, how can I, the way I look at it is when you're building a wall around yourself and you've built this wall to the point where no one could get in, you can't even get out. And even if you tried, it's going to be hard. Okay. That's why I say this work is it's work. I mean, you got to do the work. Regardless of whatever that looks like, you have to do the work, okay? And rather than self-abandon yourself and hide from what you have going on, let's deal with that. Let's get into it. Let's lean into it and let's say, I got to do it, okay? Women self-abandon because at some point it feels safer to do so. It's safer for me to run from the problem rather um, than to lean into it. So let's look at Simba for a minute. There's a situation that happens. He has been led to believe that he himself has killed his father. And because he has been led to believe this, okay, when we talk about what that was in the beginning, um, the what happens next. Okay, that's the damage. So someone made him believe that he actually was the one who killed his father. Okay. And so because he had this belief, rather than deal with the truth and try to figure out the truth, what damaged his self-trust was what he did next is he ran. And he listened to someone tell him, leave and don't ever come back here. Because he knew that if he came back, the truth was going to be revealed. The person who did it, they knew the truth. What was it? Scar. Scar knew that if Simba came back, he knew that the truth was going to be revealed eventually. Okay. So Simba decides, you know what? I'm just, rather than deal with the situation, knowing that my dad is dead, knowing that this has happened, I'll flee from the situation. Fight or flight. I'm leaving. I'm not going to handle it. I'm not going to do anything. So at some point, it made him feel better to be out of sight, out of mind. So for Simba, it was, I don't see it. I'm not there. I don't have to deal with it. And basically, let everybody else handle that. Let everybody else grieve. I'm fine. Okay. He's like, I'm fine. I'll let everybody else handle that, but I'm okay. Rather than deal with the grief and the emotional upheaval that he is in, I'll let everybody else handle it. I'll let everybody else deal with it. That's just what Simba did. And that's what we as women do. I'll let everybody else deal with that. But I'm okay. I'm fine. Okay. So rather than dealing, it makes you feel safe to like go in your room, cuddle up, get a glass of wine, go get your snacks, and just be in your and just be, rather than say, why am I feeling this way? What's happening? Why did this happen? Why does that even bother me? Why did what they say affect me in that way? Okay. So it's safer to be strong than vulnerable. It's safer for you to be a strong person. And when my dad passed away, I did say, I don't want to be strong anymore. I want to be vulnerable. I want to cry. I want to feel this because now I don't have either one of my parents. Um, so I don't want to be the strong woman. I want to be like weak. I want to be able to cry in someone's arms and know that everything's going to be okay, or just have someone tell me it's going to be okay. Don't worry about it. They may not even have the answer to the question, but just to be vulnerable. Okay. It is safer to move on than to slow down. So rather than deal with the fact that, and what I just seen was like a person in New York and the a car comes by and they splash them with all of this water. Rather than you take the time and slow down to figure what's the damage, you just keep moving. You just keep trudging ahead because the simple fact is you're used to it. We're used to this here. I'm used to getting wet. I'm used to getting rained on. I'm used to getting splashed because that's just the nature of where we're at, almost like the nature of the beast. That's just the nature of being in New York. You're going to get wet. So rather than me take the time to slow down and be like, "Oh my gosh, like this happened," I'm going to keep it moving. It's safer for you to blame yourself than sit with uncertainty. It's safer to perform than to feel. Some people get hurt and you blame yourself in the hurt. And so rather than sit with, is this happening? You'll just blame yourself. Well, it happened because, I didn't speak up, or it happened because I've allowed so many things to happen, or this happened because of whatever the case may be. You put yourself in this situation. Uh-oh, sorry. Where you have this uncertainty about yourself and it puts you in this like sticky situation, right? And so in this sticky situation, it becomes now you have to deal with you. A lot of people don't want to deal with themselves. When anything happens like that, people just don't want to deal with what happened. So they don't want to be vulnerable. They don't want to slow down and take in what just happened. They don't want to live with to sit with uncertainty, to sit with themselves and know what that feels like. Um, and they feel like it's safer for me to perform. It's safe for me to go to work. It's safer for me to overgive in certain situations rather than me feel what I'm feeling, rather than me feel angry, rather than me feel upset, rather than me feel um, the anger or whatever it is. I'll just keep moving. I'll perform. I'll go to work. I'll cook the dinner. I'll do this and not walk in the feeling. Um, in my research, I've learned that when we have these issues, the story is not the problem. It's how you're feeling. That's the problem. That I don't want to say that's the problem, but that's the thing that you need to look at. So it's not so much as what the story was, it's how you are feeling with the story. So you can say self-abandonment was never a failure. It was a strategy. How self-abandonment breaks your self-trust, trust within yourself, not in the world, but within yourself. Um, Self-trust erodes when you don't listen to your own signals. You see the red flags. You knew you should have followed your gut. You knew you should have did A, B, C, and D. You shouldn't have said that. When you override your needs repeatedly, when someone is telling you something, and here's an example. I've resolved this year that I'm not going to overextend myself to my adult children. And so one of my daughters is, she's working now and she is staying at a friend's house. While she's at the friend's house, the friend lives probably 30 to 45 minutes from where I stay. And a scenario is one day she was like, "Can you bring me some milk for the baby? If you could drop it off at my job or you can drop it off." And I'm thinking, no, I'm not doing that. Another time she's like, "Well, I'm on my cycle. Can you bring me my hygiene product?" Um, I forgot. And I thought, no. So rather than me override the feeling that I'm like, are you serious right now? What I decided was I'll figure out a different way to, number one, make me okay with what I'm doing and to make sure that you get what you need. But let's not do this moving forward. Okay. So the next thing is you shame yourself for wanting more. You shame yourself because you want to have a healthy relationship or you want to have, a nice fluffy bank account, or you want to have a better life for your children, or you want to have a better life for yourself, or because you want to go and get your nails done, or whatever. And so you shame yourself for wanting more. Another scenario was my oldest daughter had went and bought some clothes, and her sister was like, "Well, can you buy me some clothes?" And she was just like, "No." She was like, "I felt you have no idea how guilty I felt just by buying these." And I said, the shame, the guilt of feeling bad for taking care of yourself. Because now I want to go and get me some clothes. I want to do what I need to do for myself. And we feel guilty because we give so much to everybody else and we forget about ourselves. And so then we have this shame of wanting more, wanting to go get your nails done, wanting to go get your hair done, wanting to have a nice wardrobe, wanting to have this nice lifestyle, wanting to be able to no longer live paycheck to paycheck. You get what I'm saying? So you ignore your intuition to stay comfortable. You know that there's a thing that you should not be doing. And rather than you listen to your intuition, what you'll do is you'll negate it as, was that a great voice of God? And then you'll question the voice as if it was like you didn't hear that. Like you had to have heard the voice. You knew what was happening. You felt it in your gut. Oh, I don't think I should do that. Um, there are times that I want to send a message or I want to say something to one of the kids, and I don't, because now I have to follow what that says. Because do you want to continue to have the problem? No. So let's not say anything because we know where that's going to lead. We know that's going to be a volcano that's going to erupt and it's going to be something. But there's a time and a place for everything. So I'm going to say it when I need to say it, and I'm going to follow my gut. Okay. Over time, this internal message becomes I can't rely on myself to protect me. Okay. Now you can't rely on yourself to protect you because you haven't even really honored yourself, and you shame yourself because you want more. Then you don't follow the intuition. And so there's so many things. That's the real wound, is that you don't rely on yourself for your protection anymore. Like your protection for you is gone. Okay. It's not the disappointment, it's the disconnection. Okay. It's not so much as you are disconnected from how can I say, you're disconnected from yourself. And so the last message we talked about being disconnected from God. So when you're disconnected from God's source energy, whatever you want to call it, that's when you kind of lose it. You don't hear the voice. You're no longer connected to God. Think about Saul. When Saul was out there and he was trying to go after David, God was no longer with Saul. The voice, God was, he just detached from Saul. There was no longer a Saul. It was David. Okay. Okay, so when we're looking at how not Job, oh my gosh, when we're looking at Saul, when Saul initially started out, he was, God selected Saul. Saul started doing his own thing, which sometimes happens. We start doing our own thing. We start living our own life. We start planning our own thing. We never are consulting the spirit, God, whatever you want to call it, source. We never consult and we just do our own thing. We just continue to just do our own thing. And that is when you get disconnected. So, in that disconnection, having that disconnection from God, it becomes a thing where it's no longer when you're disappointed, you have to understand the reason why, because you're disconnected from the source. Okay. Like you're drained, like a phone. It's like you're not getting the full charge. And so you're going to be drained. Okay. What staying with yourself looks like instead, if you're in this space, what staying with me looks like, with like leaning into me, this is what it looks like. And this is where your healing begins. Okay. Remember, we are talking about being a healed CEO. We are becoming woman. We are becoming the woman that we say we want to be. Becoming her means that we are healed. We are no longer walking in the self-sabotage. We are no longer walking in this, well, I was thinking about doing. We are no longer not showing up for ourselves. We are no longer making commitments and not showing up to those commitments, not honoring those commitments. We are no longer saying that I'm going to do a thing and not following through. We are no longer in the space of not following through. Becoming her means that she follows through, meaning that the woman that I'm looking at right now is a woman who said she followed through, who followed the plan. She wrote her plan and she's following through on her plan. She's not giving up on herself. She's not saying, well, I just don't have the time to do this or that, or, I don't have the means to do, or whatever the case may be. That is not who she is. She is a woman who follows through. She follows the plan and she proceeds like she needs to proceed. Okay. Staying with yourself means you are allowing the disappointment without rushing past it. I was splashed. Oh my God. Because here's the thing, everybody else saw it. Everybody else saw you get splashed. And so did you. I just got splashed. Oh my gosh. I'm disappointed because I love this outfit. I really love this outfit. I don't know how much it's going to cost to get it cleaned. Do I even have time to get this cleaned? Oh my gosh, this just happened. Right? That's what leaning into disappointment, that's what showing up for yourself with, staying with that, seeing, oh my gosh, I just got splashed. Honor it. Okay. This happened. You know, I'm disappointed because this was my favorite outfit, my favorite coat, my favorite bag, whatever the case may be. Okay. Naming what you feel without judgment. I'm angry. I'm a little angry. Okay. That a car would even just do some mess like that. You seen me. You had to have seen me. And if you didn't see me, shame on you for acting like you were the only person in this world, that you're just going to drive by and you're going to hit this puddle and you're going to just splash all the people on the side. Shame on you. I'm pissed. I am livid. And I wish that I can find them. I wish that I can see them again because I have words for them. I have choice words for them. Okay. Letting the grief be information, not weakness. So whatever you're feeling, allow it to be that. I don't know if I'm gonna be able to get this fixed. Man, how much is it gonna take me? I'm already in this situation. Now here this happens. And so how much is it gonna cost me to get this cleaned? Okay. Letting the grief be the information. What am I feeling? I'm feeling pissed, I'm angry, and allowing you to feel that. Feel I'm sad. When you lose a relationship, when you lose friendships, or when you're going through it, friends, feel it. I feel angry or I feel sad, a little hurt, you know, feeling a little hurt right now. Okay. Choosing gentleness instead of self criticism. Be easy with yourself. Stop like, well, I should have did better. I should have chose better. I don't even know why I let this person do this. I'm so dumb. I can't even believe, I'm just so stupid. People say that. Women, we say that sometimes. Well, I'm so stupid. I should have just thought better. I don't even know why I chose him. I wish I never met this person. I wish I never went to this job. I wish I never even talked to this person. I wish I never did this. These are things that are letting you know that God reveals it so he can heal it. It's been revealed. So let's take care of it. Rather than you just walk around here and act like what happened didn't happen. It happened, sis. It happened. Okay. You lost a mill, and I'm gonna go into this form of, you lost $1 million. You lost 100 grand. You lost 10. You lost 1,000. Okay, how can I recoup that? Feel it. Dang, I shouldn't have did that. I shouldn't have spent that money. I shouldn't have did this. Lesson learned. Move forward. Don't criticize yourself and be like, I'm just lazy, or, I just, all right, you know what? I need to do better. I got to do better. Okay. It's a matter of doing better. Okay. Self trust isn't built by being right. It's not that you're right. It's built on being present with yourself. Okay. It's built on, even when the things hurt, it's built on that being present. It's going to sting. Think about a big business deal that you have, and something happens and you're like, "Oh my gosh, this happened." And you lose out on the deal, or you don't get paid fully, or your reputation is on the line. And it's not about like, well, I showed up and I did this. It's about, okay, I'm here. I did the best that I can do, and I lost out on it. You know, I messed up. I can't change the past. I can only be here in this moment, in present, and say, what can I learn from this? What needs to change? How can I make this better for myself in order to have the fluffy bank account? Okay. How can I change this and make it better for me, rather than stew in the fact that, oh my God, and then this happened? I mean, we see it a lot on TikTok where a business owner is not showing up. And rather than them be honest in the fact that I messed up, they'll blame everybody else. They'll criticize, and they get into this whole self-sabotage, and business plummets. Your character plummets. Everything about you just dissipates. Okay. So here's some opening questions that I want you guys to answer. While you're journaling or whatever tonight, just answering these questions after you watch the video. After disappointment, do I tend to turn toward myself or away from myself? A lot of us probably turn away from ourselves rather than lean into the situation to say, what can I do better? How can I make this better for myself? Um, Rather than saying, I don't like this life. How can I make this better for myself? We um, will pull back from ourselves rather than honor the space that we're in. Okay. I'm here. I'm present. Simba, you're here. Okay. Nala has found you, and she's telling you, do you know what's going on back at home? Hakuna Matata. You will Hakuna Matata a moment so fast. You will Hakuna Matata every moment that doesn't seem right for you, because you don't want to deal with it and you don't want to handle it. So you'll Hakuna Matata. No worries. Cool. It's fine. Okay. Next question. What do I usually tell myself when things don't work out? What's the question that you say? What is the thing that you say? Okay. All right. So um I don't actively have anybody here in the group. So there will be questions for the next 40 minutes, and we could have a discussion. Um, but no one's here in the group right now. So these are questions that I want you to ask. So I'm going to go ahead and just and ask the last two. You guys can journal. And if you have any questions in the meantime, we can do a one-on-one. And then we can circle back um, at a later time. The next question is, where did I learn that feeling disappointment was unsafe? Your last question in your journal is, what would it look like to stay with myself instead of fixing or forcing? Okay. When things happen and it's out of your control, what would it look like for you to stay and just be with yourself rather than moving ahead, trying to fix it or force a situation? Okay. What does that look like for you? All right. So, I'm having some difficulties over here with my lighting. Um, all right. So I hope everybody had a wonderful weekend and a wonderful week ahead. So I'm going to go ahead and end this now. And I hope you guys follow through, do the work, and answer those questions in your journal. And start trusting yourself, start being with yourself, start showing up for yourself, making sure that you are, in a space where you are honoring your feelings and not allowing your feelings to like have more control, controlling your emotions, okay? Control how you feel, controlling that part of you, and it leads you to a better space and a better place in your life, especially when you're doing this healing work and especially doing business. So during business, you don't want to be in a space where um, something happens and it triggers you, and rather than you deal with it, you leave the scene, and then you got business just about to go awry because you decide you're not going to show up for yourself. Okay, so don't override other your needs to keep peace. Say what you have to say, feel it, own it. And sometimes when you're feeling it, sometimes it's not anything for you to say anything. Sometimes there's not a need for you to even address the issue. Let it take care of itself. Okay. So if we look at David and Saul, David never really addressed Saul, never did. And then the time that he did, he told Saul, listen, I came to your camp twice. I could have killed you both times. But because of who I am and the change that I'm making in my life, I'm going to let God handle you. Remember the lesson that we had talked about where Saul was on one side of the mountain and David was on the other side of the mountain, and they were about to meet each other, and something happened and Saul had to turn back around, where David was like, your life was on the line at that moment, but you have to be able to show up for yourself and trust God and know that He's got your back. So no longer being disconnected like a Saul, but being really connected like a David. I love you guys, and I want you to have a wonderful night. And I will see you moving forward next week. Same time, 7:30 p.m. Mountain Standard Time. We will be here. Make sure you bring your journals. And if you have any questions, make sure you have those questions. Um, I don't want to override anybody's time and be all night. So we've kind of limited the time from 7:30 to 8:45. That's an hour and 15 minutes, for us to have these conversations and talk. So go through the video, answer the questions in your journal, and really reflect on what you have going on. And I will see you guys next week.